You are listening to the Booktrospective Podcast, a podcast for all types of books. And even though we read all types of books across all different types of genres, we want to give a disclaimer. Many of our books and a lot of our content sometimes is intended for mature audiences. And we don't believe in censorship, but we do want our listeners to have the opportunity to decide if our episode or podcast is good for them. So, with that, let's get into the episode. Hey, it's Dominique. And you're listening to Booktrospective, and we have another special guest with us today. We have Miss Ashley Jordan. Hello.
Hello, hi. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Keely and I read your book for our book club.
Oh, nice.
And then, well, it's her book club. I don't.
Fair enough.
Keely runs a bookstore, and I'm just her friend. It's her book club. And yeah, so we read it, and Keely is our professional book person, so she's like, I'm gonna reach out and see if we get anything back. So we're so happy that you agreed to talk with us.
Of course. I am so happy to talk with anyone who has read and enjoyed the book. And so thank you for reaching out.
Not a problem. This is your first book?
It is. It is my debut novel.
Okay. Keely's got, are you good with questions? I
Yeah.
don't know how you want to start. Okay, you're good. I told her we do like the spoiler free, and then if we want to do spoilers, we'll do that. So I'm pretty sure the first question though is like, tell us about your book. So if you want to just start talking about Once Upon a Time, you can do that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my debut novel is Once Upon a Time in Dollywood, and it's about a playwright from New York who has decided she's had enough of her life. She's going through a few things, including a miscarriage, and she's just like, you know what, I'm done. So she walks out on her fiance, her parents, and she goes down to Tennessee where her grandmother used to live, and she basically is trying to reset. She wants to write her next play. She wants to be alone, supposedly. And then she meets the guy next door, Jamie, who is also going through a bit of a tribulation. He's just got out of a custody battle he didn't want to be in. And so he's trying to figure out his next steps as well. And so they meet down there in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and sparks fly slowly but surely. And, despite all the things that are in the way, they are, trying to figure out how to fall in love with each other and themselves.
I love it.
It's just a little bit about you as well as a person, as an author, just information that you think that our listeners should know about you.
Yeah, so I am originally from Brooklyn, but I have been in Atlanta since high school. So I feel like I'm from both places now. And I work in public health. And let's see, I actually started writing creatively with fan fiction. So this book began as fan fiction for The Walking Dead.
Oh,
It feels ridiculous every time I say that, but it's true. This was a story
no.
about Rick and Michonne originally, and it evolved into what it is now. But it really did help me with, figuring out my voice and how to write characters. I did way too much with the original version. It was like almost 250,000 words. So it was a ridiculous story originally. But a lot of the same bones about healing and figuring out second chances and things like that. So yeah, I love the journey this book has gone on. I started writing and querying in 2020, and it took 5 years to get it out to the world. But yeah, I think that it was all necessary to get me to where I am now.
That's great.
I love that it was a Walking Dead fanfic. I love The Walking Dead, so that's
Oh,
I'm
good.
gonna have to tell my mom, and she's
My
gonna be
my
like,
mom loves it too. Yeah, she's been. I haven't watched. My husband's watched it, but I love. So I'm always telling people how 9/11 like gave us Twilight or like that little.
Mm,
I always like tell people that. So I like that. Like I love like a weird like backstory. So that's
right.
like it gives it so much more character. Like, did you know actually?
exactly.
I love it. Okay. Keely's still editing. I'm like watching her edit here, so I'm like, I can ask her. You can. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't want to.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and take that first question, that's
Okay, perfect. So what? Well, there's kind of two questions here. I guess we'll start with this one. What is the takeaway you're hoping readers get from reading your story?
Yeah, I think that mainly I hope that women, especially Black women, take away that it is okay to like be imperfect and to still be figuring it out. That doesn't mean you're any less deserving of grace or of love. And I think that it's really important to see a woman like Eve, who is deeply messy, deeply flawed, just still get to be loved and still have someone be soft with her and be proud of her and still appreciate the journey that she's on. As you know, her professional life is going very well, but her personal life is a mess, and it's okay to still be figuring out your life even as you reach your mid 30s. I really hope that that is a takeaway for women.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed and well, I'll save it for the spoiler part. I'll tell
Okay.
you what I thought.
Okay.
I'll save it. Go ahead, Keely.
I forgot to ask, we were supposed to ask before,
Oh.
but if you, and this is a little on the spot, it's always difficult for me and Dom
Uh-oh.
to come up with, and we're always prepared for this. We do it every time. But what is one word that you would use to describe your book?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to see if I can steal something from one of my blurbs.
That's fine.
Okay, one word. I would say therapeutic.
That's good. I was gonna say healing, so
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Therapeutic is better. My words are basic sometimes. I like therapeutic. It sounds better.
See. Okay. So the title alone, Once Upon a Time in Dollywood, already feels magical. What inspired you to have this story?
The Dollywood stuff. So I kind of back reverse engineered my way into that. But like I said, the story originally began as fan fiction, and you know, The Walking Dead was set in Atlanta, so the characters were in Atlanta, and I wanted the main character to go somewhere that was nearby. Basically, I was like, well, what's close to Atlanta, but where she can be isolated? And I was thinking mountains, so either the Blue Ridge Mountains or Smoky Mountains, and I ended up. And it just so happened, like I was looking at cabins like on Airbnb and this one was like it's the description was like perfect for what I was looking for. They were like isolated, you'll never see anybody. I was like, yep, that's the one. And so I just followed it to this little area in Tennessee and that's where I ended up. So and I liked it. I liked that, you know, there were national parks nearby. So even though she'd be isolated, she wouldn't be like unsafe. Like there's still a large population of people nearby, even though the town is very small. So that's why I chose it. And then as I said, I didn't have much I don't think I had any Dollywood originally, but I chose the title because it was catchy. Like I was playing off Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And when I started querying and when I talked to my mentor, Jasmine Guillory, she was like, I like the title, but where is the Dollywood? So, and then once I got my agent, she said the exact same thing. And so I kind of, like I said, reverse engineered this whole story about Dollywood and how much it means to Eve and the sort of fairy tale aspect of it that came after, ironically.
I haven't been to Dollywood. I've been to Gallenberg and I've been to Seaverville and that, but I haven't been to actual Dollywood. Have you been to Dollywood?
I've been once, and it was way before I ever thought of any of this. And
Oh,
it's a strange place. Like it's not like your typical amusement park, which I really like about it. It's really it's
yeah.
kind of kitschy and quirky, and so yeah, I think it made sense to be like this place of like it's a little bit of a place of like childlike wonder, which makes sense for Eve and what's been taken from her. So yeah, I thought it made sense in the end. It just I got there backward.
Nope, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, without giving too much away in this spoiler-free portion,
Mhm.
what kind of journey are your main characters on in this book? Like, what did you love writing in their journey? What did you love writing about them?
First and foremost, I love writing them falling in love with each other. Like, just I think that's the best thing about romance is just like the different ways we all fall in love with each other. So I love watching them like get to know each other, and I love writing like the banter and the arguments between them. I adore the dialogue of it all. So that's my favorite part of writing any story. Specifically for even Jamie, I think watching them figure out how to be more of themselves because they're in such broken places when we meet them and they just like they probably shouldn't work together given all the stuff that they're going through. Like Eve has so much going on, she's just like she's not really even willing to entertain him, but she can't help it because he is this sort of I call it a grumpy sunshine romance, and she's the grump. So he's like the sunshine in like this dark cloud that's been hanging over her life. And so I really love that about their dynamic and just like watching them grow together, but also apart.
Were there any characters that surprised you as you were writing, maybe taking the story in a different direction than you had expected?
I would say Eve's agent, Stella, she was a completely different character, like, when I, started querying, and one of the things my agent before we signed together, like, when we were talking up at the offer stage, she was like, "I really don't like Stella. I can't get behind an agent who's so mean." Because she was pushing her in the wrong way, I would say. And so I had to come back and figure out because I didn't know what an agent relationship was like. So I was writing what I thought it should be. And my own literary agent was like, actually, your agent should be a lot more supportive. Like, they're an advocate for you. So that whole relationship changed throughout the book. And she became, and I don't want to spoil it, but she becomes an important figure to her. So yeah, that was probably the biggest one.
What would you say was your favorite scene to write?
I've gotten this question several times and I still don't know the answer.
It's hard.
It
That's
is.
fine.
It's probably weird, but I really like I said, like writing dialogue, and more than that, I like writing arguments. So, like I will say, like the whole all of the conversations starting right before Thanksgiving and through the Thanksgiving stuff, I think is probably my favorite part of the book. So that's like 4 or 5 chapters. I don't even know how many chapters. It's several chapters, but yeah, Thanksgiving, that part of the book is my favorite.
Was there any scenes that were just very challenging for you to write?
Yes. This would be a spoiler, but
Well, we
I
can
won't go
circle
into
back.
detail. I'll say it's toward the end when Eve is speaking with her agent.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Okay.
We'll circle back.
Okay.
What themes are most important for you when exploring Once Upon a Time in Dollywood? Like, for instance, is this story about love or self-discovery, finding the magic in everyday life? What would you say the most important theme of your book is?
I think probably there's definitely all of what you just said. I think a lot of it is about forgiveness of yourself and of others. I think that, especially the journey, well, Eve and Jamie, both of them have to deal with scars that their parents passed down to them. And it certainly wasn't intentional. I think most of our parents are doing their best, but, they're just people and they make mistakes, and you kind of have to come to terms with that and figure out how you're not necessarily responsible for your damage, but you're responsible for your healing. And so I think that it's really important to learn how to forgive your parents, because you can't move on if you're constantly stuck on what they did, and they're not even always able to admit what they did or acknowledge what they did. So it's about forgiving that part of them and being able to forgive yourself for however you've processed that, and being able to move forward.
I love that. That actually is that is a big part that I feel like you have a lot of really good themes in this book, which we'll talk about here in a moment, but that is another one that I wasn't listing, but the parent part of it is really big too. Shifting gears just a little bit. Do you have a writing ritual? I know this is your first book, but when this started getting serious or you had to edit it, did you lock yourself away? Do you have any special tea that you drink every time, or is there anything like that?
I need one because I still need to write another book, and so I'm very scared of what's gonna happen there. But no, I don't really have one. I have write-ins that I do. I have a critique group, and we try to meet every Wednesday just to make sure we get something on the page, because it's hard. It's hard when you have a day job to focus on trying to write a novel. So I have that. I have another write-in group that I discovered just online, and that's been really helpful. And when I'm on deadline and I really, really need to focus, I go to my favorite coffee shop, which for some reason is very centering. It makes me, I can't zone out and start checking my phone, scrolling through Instagram or whatever. When I'm in front of people, I feel like, all right, you got to work for real. So I feel like I found that's very helpful to my productivity.
And are you, what did you say?
A pantser or a plotter?
Yes. Are you a pantser or a plotter?
I am 1000% a plotter. I do not understand pantsers. Like to me, that's magic. To just sit down and be able to write something off the cuff, that's crazy. So yeah, I can't start without like I know beginning, middle, end. Sometimes I sprinkle in dialogue when in my summaries as well. But yeah, I need a full outline.
So,
And
oh, go
oh,
ahead, Keely. I just have like a random question because
Oh,
I'm thinking of stuff. But so,
you
like,
go ahead.
you said this started as fan fiction. Like, when did this switch from like, this is just fan fiction. I'm gonna put it on. I don't know if you were putting on AO3 or whatever, but when did that like switch occur? When you're like, no, I'm gonna try to publish this, and you are.
yeah, it was literally the pandemic. It was just because, people had in the fandom had been so kind. They're like, you should really try to get published. And I always took it in stride, like, oh, that's nice, but no. And then there was a culture writer from BuzzFeed who had been reading some of my work, and she wrote a story about like fan fiction and my fan fiction specifically. And for some reason, I believed her. She said you should get published. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll think about it. And then, yeah, during the pandemic is when I actually had the time to start to say, all right, well, I have all these words about this couple. I can probably do something with it. And yeah, that's when I finally decided to try and distill those 200,000 words into something cohesive. Like I said, there was a whole lot of nonsense in there. Like I literally broke up even Maya's friendship for no reason at all. And so like I had to take all the nonsense out and, figure out what I really wanted to say about the story. And I think the pandemic, because all of us were experiencing so much grief and just trying to figure out like what comes after this, I think it was the perfect time for me to come in here with my sad story about grief and, figuring out your way after, you've suffered a trauma. So pandemic did it for me.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Again, a little off topic ish,
Mhm.
but other than your book, what is your most recent 5-star read, and what makes a 5-star read for you?
Ooh, oh, that's very easy, thank God. August Lane by Regina Black's back here on my shelf. I Something about second chance romance really, really does it for me. I think there is something, I mean, I say every second chance romance is 5 stars, but the concept of, you haven't been in love once and then you're apart and you grow and you become stronger by yourself and all the things that happen in life in between the first and the second chance. I think they just bring so much like pathos to a romance, and so I think that's most likely to be my favorite kind of romance. But yeah, what Regina did with like just the family situation, but also the discussion around Black country music, and especially in conversation with like Cowboy Carter, is just so prescient. And also, she's just an excellent writer. I can't get it's like a perfect book to me. I can't get over it.
It's on my TBR, so
Oh, okay, no spoilers, but so good.
So I have a question because we haven't. I don't know if we talked to any romance authors yet, so this is great.
Oh, no.
Okay, what would you say is like your favorite? Well, you already said second chance, so we'll do another one. But what is another like favorite trope? But then what's like one of your least favorite romance tropes?
Oh Lord. Okay, favorites. I'm gonna go favorite. I think I really enjoy forced proximity. I think it's really like that gives for a lot of good banter, and I like the energy between two characters when they're forced to be together. And it's funny because my least favorite, which could kind of play into this, but still I don't like it, is enemies to lovers. I know.
You're like
I
the
always
only
say
person
that.
ever saying that. It's
I
fine.
know, but
Great.
listen. If you're my enemy, we're not going to be lovers. We need to name it something else. I don't know, but it's just like I can't get behind the concepts of like we went from enemies to now we're in love with each other. Like maybe it's like I don't know, like some sort of it should be what should it be? More like we kind of don't like each other to lovers.
We kind of don't like each other.
Enemies just doesn't no, like I'm not in the same room with my enemies, first of all. So
True.
yeah.
That is so funny.
And I love angst. It's just that little part where it's like enemies, no.
That is so funny. Okay, I don't have any more spoiler-free questions. Do you? Okay,
Okay.
so we are going to transition into our spoiler section. So if you have not read this book and you do not want to be spoiled, this is your notice to pause here and come back later. Otherwise, we are going to get into some juicy details. So where do we want to start?
So, we'll start out with a question, and I don't know if you have any already set up, Dom, but if your main character could sit with us right now, what would they want readers to understand about them?
Ooh, I love that question. I think, and this is, oh yeah, I put it in my dedication. Like, this is for all the Black girls who were mistaken for difficult when they just needed to be seen. And I think that that is precisely what Eve is going through. She just needed to be seen, and partly by her parents. This so much of what she's carrying is because her parents just refused to accept that what they did to her was traumatic. And so I think that part of her needed to be seen. She's been keeping all of this from Jamie, and she knew he would have understood if she ever told him, but she didn't want to be seen in that way. And I think that that's also important, is that it is okay to you know like I said, it's okay to not be perfect, to not have it all together, but also to just sort of be anxious and depressed, and still, that for Black women especially, I think that that translates to something else. Maybe people will see them as abrasive, or even or guarded or shut down or whatever. And she is many of those things, but it's because of all the stuff that she's carrying. And so I think it's just really important that I think that she would think it was important for people to understand that about her. She's not a terrible person. She's not even a mean person. She's just going through some things.
No, I like Eve. I even think like she's funny. Like when she first gets down there and she's like, I love a woman who's mean to her man. Like even before
Yeah,
he's
me
her man.
too.
I'm down for this. Like she was just like, no. Like and I loved all of that. Like
Oh, I'm glad.
I love that. Don't start being nice to him either. Like keep being mean. Okay, so I guess we can circle back. So the difficult scene that you had to
Mhm.
write. Now
Yeah.
you can talk more about it.
Yeah, so the scene where Eve essentially breaks down with Stella in her office, that was definitely the hardest part to write. I remember, like, the first time I wrote it, like, as a fan fiction, bawling. And it was not with Stella, because Stella didn't exist because Eve wasn't a playwright, but it was with Jill at that time. And she was down in Gatlinburg and had told nobody any of her history. And so, yeah, that big scene was with Jill, and it was terrible to write, but also very cathartic. And then same for when I was like rewriting it to be with Stella. It was just like, she's had this block for so long, it's keeping her from being able to finish this play and all this stuff. And so it was just like this very big release. And I felt the exact same way as Eve, basically. I'm just like releasing all my emotions of this book into this one scene.
So, were there any scenes that you loved or really enjoyed that didn't make it into the final version?
Yes, and I think I might release this as like a bonus to people who subscribe to my newsletter. But there is a chapter where Maya actually did come to visit, and so her and Eve have like this night out on the town, and it goes terribly. But it's just a lot of like sisterly bond. I wished I could have had more Maya in the book, but the book was already so long, I couldn't like fit that in. So yeah, that's one of my favorite chapters. And then I will say that the ending was very different. It was actually like Eve had she was part-time moved down to Tennessee, and like she has this big water birth. It's like a very cathartic sort of scene where she and her mom are like together and everything, and she has the baby. But I just didn't feel like it fit this particular version of the story. I wanted it to be more about her professional and personal coming together, instead of just like the big happy ending. Like hopefully that'll happen down the line at some point. But yeah, I really like the way it ended with her play opening.
I like that you didn't. So my only beef with your book
Uh-oh.
is that I feel like it's not so much of a romance, and I'm okay with that.
Mm.
I just like because I'm like like, and we said this in book club. Like if they wouldn't have ended up together, we actually would have been okay with it because we
Mhm.
were so much more like invested in their personal like journeys and growth.
Yeah.
Like I love them, but I was like, I don't even think this is a romance. Like I think this is more like self like love and like the other things though. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, this isn't romance. I'm like, but it is. But and I love the romance plot of it, but like the part that gets me like and really invested is those like journeys that Jamie and Eve are both on.
Oh, I actually love you said that. I mean, I love romance, but I also when I started the first time I like rewrote the book, I wrote it as women's fiction with romantic elements. And I mean, it still had the happy ending, but yeah, it was another agent who said, "I think you would do really well to make this a romance and give Jamie's point of view and all that stuff." And I'm really glad I did. But yeah, it was so much of it was about Eve for me that like people
Yes.
had to like you know Jamie's a character too, right? I'm like, I know, yeah, I love him. but Eve.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a 60-40. Like I don't think it's
Yeah.
too much, but I think like if Eve would have moved down at the end, like I think that kind of would have hurt a little bit. Like I like that
Yeah.
they both like came to these decisions independently with their situations and then it worked out that way,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like she was sacrificing anything else.
Right. I thought it was really important. I should have said this when well, it would have been a spoiler, but another chapter I really love is that chapter, like when they break up, where she chooses her career and herself. She says, I love you, but I need to be in New York right now. And Jamie agrees. I love that for them. And I don't know if I would have been okay if that was the end because I really wanted them to be together, but I love the idea of that them being okay with, going their separate ways. They had their time together and that was good enough. So yeah, I agree with you.
Were there any? Okay, so two-parter.
Okay.
Who other than Jamie and Eve would be your favorite character, and who would be your least favorite character?
Least favorite character is very easy. That is Lucy. Even though I tried to give her some growth in the end, but even as writing her, she worked my nerves. So I get it. My favorite character other than oh, this is hard. It's like a toss up between Maya and Casey, Eve's best friend and Jamie's brother. I like them both and what they bring to their counterparts. I especially love how Casey just like hates Lucy as much as everybody else does. So he might edge Maya out the tiniest bit, but I just love the common sense that they bring to these two characters who are trying to fall in love.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of the book that really doesn't have anything to do with like the other stuff. It does, but it doesn't. Is like him putting her out and like you got to go. Like you have a whole man and you are pregnant.
Yeah.
Like y'all have to go, and then you ask me for money. Like that's insane. That is absurd.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
like,
Jamie
yeah,
had to go on this journey of like, I know you want the best for this woman because she's your child's mother, but also she also has to grow up too. So yeah, he got to let go.
yes. So I have a question, or I don't know, a statement that can lead into a question. I
Okay.
want to talk about Eve's parents and
Okay.
specifically the dad of it all. So like, did you know that was gonna come out? Like, because I was like, we're shocked, like
Yeah.
that is his reaction at the end of this all.
Yes, I absolutely knew. I was trying to sprinkle in those subversive moments in the previous chapters where he's slightly more supportive and understanding than her mother, and I think that that's because in my own life, like me and my mother are very close, but also we bump heads so much, and I think that. But in the end, she's the person who will do anything in the world for me, and she will, be the person who understands more than I mean, like my dad is supportive and everything, but I think that at the end of the day, if I was going to pick which one of them is going to have my back and understand my struggles, it's going to be my mom. And so, yeah, I think that I wanted people to be shocked, but also kind of understand that, this is a mother too. She's always wanted the best for her daughter, but couldn't see how to like maybe not couldn't, but more refused to see, how she had hurt her until she got those tools in therapy to say, like a grown up, not just whining, but saying, this is what you did to me and this is how it hurt me. And her mother being finally willing to listen and her dad not having those tools, I thought was an interesting subversion of the idea that, everything's okay in the end, because everything is not okay in the end in real life.
Well, and speaking of therapy, and this is something that we talked about in book club, we loved the therapy aspect of it. And I feel like there aren't enough books that play into the therapy and working things out.
Yeah.
So not really a question here, but really loved that and appreciated that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was always, even in the fan fiction version, that was part of the book, which I thought was really important to explore. The scenes were much longer, like full therapy sessions. And my agent was like, girl, we don't give us the highlights. So, yeah, there's more of that I could give you as well. But I thought it was really important to explore the concept of beginning to heal, the concept of, you might not, the first therapist you talk to might not be the right one for you. That doesn't mean you should give up. Eva's tried therapy a few times and she always thought that, it was not for her. And that was one of the themes I wanted to explore in this book, is the ways that Black women especially, will try to heal themselves when they believe therapy isn't working for them. And so, yeah, I really thought it was important to have her go through a few tries before getting it right and understanding what it really can do for you. And yeah, also, I think a lot more of it in the previous version, the therapy was a lot more about exploring her past with Leo and unraveling that whole mess. So I kind of had to, truncate it quite a bit, but hopefully you got the gist of what she went through with him as well.
Yeah, no, I think the therapy is good. Yeah, we compared you. We were talking about Katie Ryan. I was like, yeah, because she does. I'm like, we're comparing you. I'm like, yes. I was like, this is another one with good therapy session. So yeah, I just think I like therapy. I love to go to therapy. I'm always
Yeah.
like, this is what I did. I know it's wrong, but that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. Speaking of Leo, so I'm an oblivious reader. I see characters in my mind, but I don't if it's not very apparent to me what their race or ethnicity is, I don't know. So I didn't I don't know if I missed it, but I didn't realize till very far in that Leo was white. And so I was like, oh, interesting. And I'm like, I don't know. So is there any reason why or why not that she's in interracial relationships versus with a Black character?
Yeah.
Not that either matters, but yeah, just curious.
Yeah, no, I mean, for Jamie and Eve, because it was based on Rick and Michonne from The Walking Dead. That was always
Right.
going to be that. I went back and forth a lot about what to do with Leo, because I did not want it to seem like Eve only dates white men. That was really heavy on my mind. Oh no. But I was also like, I don't want her to treat a Black man like this. Or anyone of color. I don't know. That's crazy, but that literally went through my mind. I'm just like, I'm sorry, he's gonna have to be white, and his entitlement a little. And he was okay, but all of that played into my decision to just be like, well, she doesn't like him, so it's okay.
It's okay.
But yes, I did think about it a lot.
I just when we talked about in book club, I was like, well, because I feel in a lot of, because her parents are what ethnicity? They're
her dad is Haitian.
Haitian. So I feel but I feel we see that a lot in those ethnicity groups. That's almost the success too, is they get a partner. And I didn't know if that, we talked about that in book club. I was like, I don't know if that's the thing or what. I was just curious.
It was far less calculated than that.
See, the one time I think about, but normally I just read and people have theories. I'm like, how did you even? And then here I am looking for something that's not there.
No, I love it.
I love people who get theorized. I just we call ourselves vibe readers. I'm just here for the vibes. I'm just reading and I'm like, oh, and then somebody else points something out. I'm like, well, I guess, but whatever.
That's hilarious.
So Eve is a playwright.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide to make her a playwright? Are you into plays and stuff like that? No? Yeah?
No, well, I love theater. I go whenever I can and when I'm in New York. But literally, it was just because, she's based on Michonne from The Walking Dead, played by Denai Guerrera from, Black Panther fame. And she's a playwright. So it was my tribute to her and, her work. So that was literally it. Yeah.
I do love that. That is so cute. I'm trying to think about this book. There's other stuff, and I'm like, oh, we didn't talk about this. We did not talk about the Paris situation.
Oh,
That broke my heart. I was like, please don't go home. I just knew. I knew, and then she did it, and I was like, no.
I mean, but I feel like she was right that she couldn't just like be in this fairy tale land with this man. She had to go back home and fix the things that she just like disappeared from. And
I
in a way, Jamie was right too. Like, this is his life, and he can't like keep relying on someone who keeps treating him as an option. So, my hope is that it was a situation where you could see both sides and be like, well, with a little bit more work and communication, they can probably work this out. But I do understand how they got there.
yeah, I was just hurt.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad.
my hurt was I totally understand where she's coming from, but I'm like, don't let down the kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which he didn't seem like. I felt like he's there, but it wasn't like disastrous, which is good. But
Yeah.
like, I get it. But I was just like, no, like you're supposed to prove me wrong, and you're gonna like show up, and then the book would have ended there, I guess. But so it wouldn't have been. I know we have to have conflict.
That's how Jamie felt too.
I think no, I know. I was just like, oh man. But no, I like Jamie, and I like their like sexual exploration too.
Mm,
I think that is a very like unseen problem that a lot of women experience. Like not wanting to be touched or not like knowing that they enjoy to be touched and
yeah.
things like that. I really enjoy that. I mean, we read all kinds of romance and we read smut, so like yeah, they get straight to it. But like, there's a place for this too, and like that's nice to have it.
Yeah. We talked about how, again, and nothing against smut, we read it all the time, but we talked about how it wasn't just smut for smut's sake, but like it had and it was an integral part of her story and her growth, and it was great.
Oh, thank you. I am very glad to hear that. Like, I did definitely want it to have even though, again, I love smut, like, I came from fan fiction. So I definitely wrote it just for no reason at all. But yeah, I thought it was really important to have that, be like sort of an awakening for her in a way, because of what she's gone through in the past. She never got to enjoy sex. And this, for the first time, she's like, oh, this is new. And that's part of why she, really falls for him. Makes her feel safe in so many different ways.
Yeah, I think you did that well. I think the last thing that we haven't talked about is wait, it's an adoption, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we've had like not similar books, but we've had like books. We've read a few books lately, me and Keely, that are like dealing with these difficult topics.
Yeah.
But it's an adoption, so that I felt like, is there any reason why that was the storyline, like her being sent off, and like being forced to do this adoption thing? Like, I know it could be from nowhere, or like she didn't really have like options in that, so I just didn't know what made you decide to put that piece in there.
Yeah, there was nothing in particular that, as far as I remember, that inspired it. It was just sort of because I think that for whatever I write, I like to explore the concept of motherhood, especially for women in their 30s. We're grappling with whether that's something we want for our lives, and how do we get it, and what happens if we can't have it, especially in the way we imagine. So that was just one way that I wanted to take a look at it. And I thought it was really important to not like a couple of people have asked me like on tour, like, oh, I thought she would find her son, and I was really just reading to find out if she'd meet him again. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't the point. It was, she's going through this journey, and again, your healing can't why I just lost my train of thought.
It's fine.
Oh, she's going on this journey with the adoption, and trying to look for her son is not really so she can find him, because what is she going to do? She's going to infiltrate this young man's life just for her own satisfaction.
Right.
And that's not going to help her. So her healing had to depend on moving forward and not on resolving this awful thing that happened to her at 17, in that way, at least.
Yeah. Nope. I like it. Like, I like that wasn't like, it's a very big part of the story, but it wasn't like the point of the story, which
Right.
is like, and I like that too. Like, it's her working through that, but not like you said, the story is not her going to find her son.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the point of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Keely, do you have any more questions?
I don't have any more questions per se, but one last thing that I had to say is the scene where she was having the panic attack and he kind of talked her out of it. I cried. I love that scene. As someone who's like an anxious person and has dealt with like panic attacks and stuff, just that scene really hit me and I loved it. It was great.
Thank you so much. You're the first person I think who has mentioned that scene, and same thing here. I deal with the same thing, and I just wanted to because I don't think I had it earlier. It was one of the last things I added to the story, and I thought it was really important to show that this is what happens to us sometimes.
Yeah,
we crumble in a parking lot. So thank you.
This is just off topic. Are you going to Black Romance Book Festival next year?
I will be there like as an attendee, but I don't have a Black romance yet, so
I know.
I would love to be there eventually.
Well, we will be there. So I was like, because I just know you're in Atlanta. So I was like, I couldn't remember. I was trying to look real fast and I was like, I don't know. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll run into you.
I hope so. I was there last year as Jasmine's assistant, so maybe I'll find somebody else I can like assist or like some other role. I don't know, but I will definitely be in the building either way.
That's exciting. Yeah, we're so excited to go. It was like fighting for Beyoncé tickets.
Oh my God, yeah. I kind of feel bad. I'm like, I got tickets and so many people didn't. Maybe I can do a giveaway if I can find another role.
I don't know. But yeah. Okay, well, where can everyone find you? All of your socials or website? What's all your stuff?
Yeah, so my website is ashleejordanwrites.com. I'm on Instagram at ashleejordanwrites, and what else? Substack. Subscribe to my newsletter, ashleejordanwrites.substack.com. I don't update it enough, but I will promise I will do better.
That's life. It's hard. And you're still working, so you've got a lot going on. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. It was wonderful. Super excited for you being published, and I'm glad you're sharing your inner thoughts with us on the page.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful. I really appreciate your questions and comments.